Good afternoon. Today we are starting trimester 2 with book number 2 in Pre Algebra. So book 2, and you'll see we have objectives 29 to 45 that we will be going through. So our table of contents, we can see that unit 5 we're starting off with goes from CO29 to CO33. I am not thinking that we get this done before Christmas break. I'm going to have to double check that. But it is a shorter unit. So if we don't get it done during break, it'll be like with Thanksgiving, where we come back and we do the review and we do a test. It's not a long time until we have this test. Okay. So if we push it till after Christmas, we will have a review day. So we are going to be working on ratios and proportions. Our first objective is CO29. I can write a ratio for a given situation 3 ways and in simplest form. So just like with fractions, how we simplify fractions down, simplify, it's going to be the same thing with ratios. We will want to simplify them down. So first thing that we're going to start with, I need to remind myself I'm not standing up for this. First thing is, what is a ratio? So, do you know what a ratio is? So, not to total. It's that certain amount compared to another amount. So, you're super close. So, that ratio compares a part to a part. So if we're looking at a ratio of boys to girls in the classroom, right? How many boys there are to how many girls there are. If we look down here, it says a bag contains 6 yellow marbles, 8 blue marbles, 3 red marbles, and 12 green marbles. So we're going to write ratios for these, and we're going to see the different ways to write the ratios. So first, we have to look at part to part. Our first part is always the first part that we see. So the order definitely matters. Okay? It's super important. So we always have to read, what is it that they're asking for? What order do I need to put it in? So if we're looking at blue to yellow, we're going to put the blue first. There are 8 blue to, now we need the yellow, to 6 yellow. Then it says simplify. How can we simplify 8 to 6? Grayson?
Is it 8 and 2 dots?
That's giving me a different way of writing the ratio. That's not simplifying it. So you're a step ahead. Adeza?
4 to 3.
Why would it be 4 to 3, Adeza? What are we dividing out of both parts?
2.
We're going to divide that 2 out of both parts to make it 4 to 3. Okay, so simplifying it is just like simplifying a fraction. Whatever you do to the top, you do to the bottom. Whatever you do to the first side, you do to the second side. So you have to be able to divide the same number out. Simplifying. Then it says write these in 3 ways. So one way is to write it with the words 4 to 3. Another way Grayson was just talking about was with the colons. 4 to 3 using colons. And the last way is as looking like a fraction, 4 over 3. So it's 4 to 3. So it's very similar to a fraction. So knowing that, let's look at our red to green. What is my initial ratio? Olivia?
12 to 3.
So how many red marbles are there? Yeah, it makes a difference. You always have to look at what the first word is. It says red, so my number has to go with the red. So it doesn't matter the order that they're listed in up here. It matters what the ratio is saying. Red to green, you have to make sure you have red to green. Now we need to simplify. What can I divide out of 3 to 12? Fiona?
You can divide out 3.
Yeah, if I divide it by 3, what's my simplified ratio?
1 to 4.
1 to 4. So then write it in 3 ways. Write it with the words, write it with the colon, write it as a fraction. Always being consistent. The 1 is first, the 4 is second. Okay. Always, always, always be consistent. If it says red to green, red should be on top, green on bottom. Red first, green second. Lucas.
That ratio is kind of like in movies when they say, round number 21.
Yes, that is a ratio. 20 of them to 1 of me. You are correct.
Or say you had 100 of you. And
Yeah.
they add 20 times.
Right. Grace. Yes. The numerator is always your first number. So when you make that fraction, the numerator is always that first number. So if it's red first here, I know that's the numerator. All right, blue to green, what is my initial ratio? Will? 8 to 12. What is my simplified ratio? Addie?
4.
I'm going to divide out of 4. So what does that get for me?
4 and 3.
Careful. What's 8 divided by 4?
2.
2
Oh.
to 3. Okay, so we have to be careful that we're making sure we're doing that math correctly. And then we write it in our 3 ways. Go ahead, Damien. So our first number is that blue. Second number is the green. Top is the blue. Bottom is the green. It matters. There will be times, and we'll see it when we get to the word problems. There will be times that you need to pay attention to the order they give you. All right, yellow to red. What is my initial ratio? Lakely. 6 to 3. What is it simplified? Lauren. I'm dividing out of 3. 2 to 1. So then write it our 3 ways. 2 with the word 2 to 1. 2 colon 1. 2 on top. 1 on bottom. Now we need red to blue and green. What do you think that ratio is going to look like? Emerson. 3 to 20. Because we needed to add the blue and the green together. So what is that simplified, Jude?
Is it 3 and 20?
Yeah, it is already as simple as we can get. So it's going to stay 3 to 20. And then we write it our 3 ways with the word to, with our colon, and as our fraction.
3 to 20, yeah, 3 times.
Yeah? Yep. All right, so how is a ratio different from a fraction? Remember I said it's like a fraction. I didn't say it is a fraction. What do you think, Claire?
Ratio is like comparing, and like a fraction is more like of a number.
A fraction does compare, but what are we comparing? What are we comparing the ratio? So ratio compares part to part. What do you think a fraction compares? They both compare. What do you think, Lucas?
Part to whole.
Part to whole. So think about our test. You got 18 right out of 20. 18 over 20, that's a fraction. A ratio would be 9 girls to 12 boys. Okay, 20 of them to 1 of me. That's a ratio when you're comparing part to part. Fraction is when we have the whole as the denominator, like on a test grade. So let's answer these questions putting our ratio in simplest form. So you are baking a cake and the recipe calls for 32 cups of flour and 42 cups of sugar. It's a big cake. It is a huge cake. What is the ratio of flour to sugar? So it doesn't matter what they give you first up here. What matters is the ratio. And this is where I said you really have to pay attention, because sometimes they'll give you flour first here and then sugar, but the ratio is going to be flipped. And it'll say, what's the ratio of sugar to flour? So it matters. You have to look at what they're calling for the ratio. If it says flour first, you have to put the flour number first. So how much flour is there, Addie?
I was going to ask a different question.
Okay, let's go through this first, and it might answer your question. Then we'll go through the question if it doesn't. How many cups of flour are there? Grace? 32. To how much sugar? Jude?
43 cups.
Sorry, say that again.
43 cups. Or 42 cups.
Okay. Thought I heard you wrong. 42 cups. So we have 32 to 42. Now it says that we need to put that ratio in simplest form. So what do I have to do? Claire?
We can divide by 2.
I could divide by 2. And I would get 32 divided by 2 is 16. 42 divided by 2 is 21. Can I simplify that anymore?
Yep.
What could I divide out of both sides? Can 16 be divided evenly by 3?
No. Oh, wait, no, that's 18.
Yep. So 16 to 21 is as simple as it gets. Now we learned 3 different ways to do our ratio. So you can choose which way you want to do it. Do you want to do it with the word to? Do you want to do it with the colon? Do you want to do it where it looks like a fraction? Any of those ways are acceptable. It doesn't say that we have to do it, show it in all 3 ways. You can choose which way to do it, as long as you make sure that 16 is first and on top, 21 is second and on bottom. So any of those would work. Addie?
For the ratio of fraction thing, can that go on the help sheet?
Definitely. Yep. All right. A pet store has 18 dogs and 48 cats. What is the ratio of cats to dogs? So what's... Sorry, dogs to cats. Wow, I read that wrong. What do you think the answer is? What is our initial ratio? Will? 18 to 48. Now I need to look, can I simplify that? James?
You can simplify it by 6.
I can divide out a 6. 18 divided by 6 is 3. 48 divided by 6 is 8. I cannot simplify 3 and 8 anymore. So that would be my final answer. Again, we can show that in any of the forms of ratios that we have, and it would be correct as long as the 3 is first or on top, the 8 is second or on bottom. In a football stadium of 60,000 fans, 40,000 are Vikings fans and 20,000 are Packers fans. What is the ratio of Vikings fans to Packers fans? Christian?
40,000 to 20,000.
40,000 to 20,000. What would my simplifying get me? Damien?
Divide by 20,000. Then you get 2 to 1.
Or 2 to 1, or 2 over 1. 40,000 divided by 20,000 is 2. 20,000 divided by 20,000 is 1. Lucas?
Isn't it kind of odd that there is only Vikings and Packers fans in that stadium?
Well, if you're at a Vikings game when they're playing the Packers, wouldn't you think they would fall in one of those 2 camps? So I don't think that would be odd. Usually if you're going to fork out the money to go to a football game, it's not cheap. You're going to really care and you're going to want to cheer for one side or the other. All right, last one on this page. The boy to girl ratio in a class is 2 to 3. There are 30 students in this class. How many are boys and how many are girls? How do you think we're going to solve something like this? Fiona? How? Walk me through it. What would I do? If I know that boys and girls, how many boys are there? 2 or 3?
2.
How did you know it was 2, Emerson?
Because it says the boy to girl ratio.
Yeah, boy to girl. So girl. So boy is my first number. Girl is my second number. There are 30 students in the class. If I add 2 boys plus 3 girls, do I have 30 students? No. That would only give me 5 students. I want 30 students. So what do I have to do to figure out that 30 students, Dominic?
You could do 2/3 times 30 to get.
So if I had 2/3 times 30, that gets me 60 over 3.
Simplify it to 20, which is 20 girls in the class.
20 girls.
Yeah.
And so how many boys would there be?
10.
So how did I go from 2 to 10? What do I times by? So I would have to, whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other side. If I did 3 times 5, do I get 20? No, that gives me a 1 to 2 ratio, not a 2 to 3 ratio. So that was a good thought. But that's not how we come up with the answer. Any other thoughts on how we would solve this? Kaylin?
You could find multiples of 3 first, but then you know 3 has to go with one of the numbers.
Okay. So if I think about my multiples of 3, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, how do I know which one to stop at?
You can also find out what is a multiple of 2.
So what would be a multiple of 2 and a multiple of 3? So I need to multiply both sides by the same number, so they need to both have the multiples of it. Fiona, what would you do?
I would supply the numbers that they have multiples of,
Mm-hmm.
and then multiply them and then add the numbers together and see if it equals 30.
Oh, that's the key part we can't forget. We have to be able to add them together to equal 30. Asher?
You know how 2 to 3 equals 5?
Uh-huh.
5 times 6 equals 30, so it would be 6.
5 times 6 equals the 30.
Yeah.
But then,
So then,
then you add 2 times 6 is 12, and then that equals 30.
so 2 times 6 is 12. 3 times 6 is 18. If I add 12 plus 18, look at that. I get 30. Wow. So did you guys see what Asher did? We added that 2 and 3 and that got us 5. We wanted 30, so he knew to go from 5 to 30 we had to multiply by 6. So he used that to multiply over here. We checked our answer by adding them together. So now we can say boys are 12 and girls are 18. Because adding them together, we get 30. We multiply both sides by the same number. Okay. The second page for today's assignment are more word problems. The second page are more word problems, so we need to pay attention to doing the ratio in the correct order. If you are watching at home, I hope you are well. I hope to see you soon and have a wonderful day.